Hi, and welcome to Coach's Corner, where systems matter and both personal and professional learning and development is beneficial for everyone and essential for some. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Let's get started.
Well, thank you. Now we're going to move into bonus questions.
Bonus.
Bonus.
Can I say bonus?
Yes, you can.
Final.
With failure, right? Everyone, I would think everyone has experienced failure, one sort or the other. What have been some things where when you failed, what did you do to turn the tide or whatever to get the success you were looking for?
Right. So I kind of have the mentality that Thomas Edison does, which is not failure, which I think is what you're alluding to. But I also understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
So guess what I do? I plug it into a system, and I always start with mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that the reason that I won't call it failure, but it didn't go as planned, was there's something in the mindset piece.
Okay.
Where we, wanting something that we shouldn't have wanted, where we, philosophically in the wrong spot, where we mentally, whatever.
Yeah.
Where we asking too much, not enough, whatever, right? So I'd play around with that for a little while.
Yeah.
And then I would go right into systems and say, did we really follow the system?
Mm-hmm.
Did we get the right fishing pole, which we talked about?
Yeah.
Did we get the right line?
Yeah.
Did we get the right hook? Did we get the right bait? Did we throw it into the right pond? Did we, so did we follow the system, which that is systemic, right? And then they, just on a little side note, they go, why don't you just fish with a net? I'm like, because we're trying to get fish, not freaking tires and whatever. But we fish with a net too, right? So we do both ends. But anyway, and then the third thing I always look at in that order is the person. Is that the right person? I forget who wrote that. I don't read books, but I listen. Because I just can't sit there and read. Yeah, it drives me crazy. I'm too ADD or ADHD. Everybody else has PhDs. I got ADD, ADHD. We're watching Atypical, and my wife's like, "You're on the spectrum."
Yeah,
I think that's good because he's straight up.
Yeah,
right. He just tells it like it is. I love that guy. Sam. See, I promoted Atypical. There you go. Netflix, whatever. Because we don't get to watch a lot of stuff, but when we eat dinner, we'll watch 30 minutes or whatever. But anyway, and what was the question again? Sorry.
Talking about failure whenever they fail.
Yeah, and those are the three. I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it's always in 1, 2, or all three of those.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, what is the difference between CEO and CFO?
Well, in title, so the Chief Executive Officer, which is the CEO, the CFO is Chief Financial Officer. Okay. And now they got they just make names up, right?
Kind of like what you do with your...
No, I don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, what is it? I was gonna say traditional transmission. We're on the same page. Traditional transmissions. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Anyway, I'll get that worked through. What was the question?
Yeah, what is the difference between the CEO and the CFO?
Oh yeah,
other than a name.
Yeah, so the Chief Executive Officer, they're basically the leader.
Okay.
Right, they are it, right, and they may not be the owner.
Yeah.
So I always try to compare it to the sports or Bible.
Right.
And so you've got the owner of whatever, Denver Broncos or whoever, and then you got the chief officer, or in this case maybe they call that the general manager. Okay. But he's in charge of the operations or whatever, or maybe not. Maybe he's in charge of other things. But in the end, he's kind of the buck, other than. The owner's the real buck, right? Yeah. And so versus the chief financial officer, they just deal primarily with the money. Okay. Yeah, and so that's kind of the distinction between the two. But again, look, all this traditional talk, scale growth and marketing, everybody just calls it their own stuff anyway. And go on to Google and it's like 53 answers, different answers to the same question.
So, your personal opinion, of course, would you think that it is better to invest into one big business or invest into a bunch of smaller businesses?
I mean, it again comes down to understanding yourself or self-awareness, or what I call know thyself, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're a little bit more risk adverse than somebody else, maybe you go on one.
Yeah.
If you're a little bit of chicken like I am, you want to, get 10 or 11, 12 different lines.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. You could probably go all in with Amazon, and that's probably going to be a pretty good bet. But nobody knew 3 years ago that Walmart was going to go kind of all in online either.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what they're doing. So, I don't know all the what if, ands, and whatever buts about it. But I know that Amazon's building distribution centers, and Walmart already has distribution centers all over. So I don't know who's going to win that. And I don't know what's more important or less important or how it all worked out. But, the chances of those two or Facebook not doing extremely well, meaning you could go all in with them, are probably slim to none. But you may like the other. So I told you we had those 3, I don't want to say lines because it's bigger than lines, but we had the 3 corporations. Yeah. And one of them basically had to shut down. We have 2 others. So if you went into one and they basically had to shut down, you're SOL. Yeah. So I like diversity, but you're also not going to make as much financially, and maybe not help as many people, but you can still help a bunch and make a bunch over on the other side too.
Got it. So this one comes from personal experience, because I think this is great for people that are trying to sell things.
Yeah.
So if you could describe how you would sell a product. Remember that you gave me the speech of the boombox and the lady and selling. I think it was. I just thought about it. I forgot it.
Yeah, I'm not remembering.
Yeah.
The boombox.
Yeah. So they needed a radio for their baby and the.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I tell people, salespeople, which we've had thousands and thousands, and most salespeople, they sell what I call benefits and features.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Versus selling solutions to problems. And here's the difference. And that's the
Yes.
So a lady comes in to, let's say, a Radio Shack or so. I'm going to start getting endorsements from them.
Yeah.
They go into a Radio Shack, and most salespeople, untrained and they don't know what they're doing. They'll go right into, hi, how you doing? What do you need? Well, I need a boombox, or I don't know what they call them now, but radio, stereo. Yeah. I'm like, see, they're like an 8-track tape.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't know what that is. Anyway, they're like MP3. I'm like, I don't know what that is, right? But anyway, so they'll go in there and they'll start showing them the boombox, and they'll just talk about benefits and features. They'll say, oh, look, this is a graphic equalizer. Oh, this controls the bass. Oh, this controls this. Blah, blah, blah. That's no way to sell. All you have to do is ask a simple question. So what are you here for? And they say, well, I'm here for a boombox. And then you ask one more question. Well, what are you trying to accomplish? Right? And so this lady comes in, and I would already have read what was going on. She's got bags under her eyes. She looks really tired. She's not as fit as somebody her age would normally be. So what am I saying? She probably has a baby.
Right.
Now I don't know that, but I'm going to confirm that. I'm gonna. They say they read the room or whatever. That's what I'm doing, right? So that's kind of that art thing, intuitive and different things. But now I'm going to take the science with it. I'm going to ask those 2 questions, and she says, "Well, I just need to put my baby to sleep, and the baby seems to like music, and I'm having trouble with it, right?"
Yeah.
So instantly I start saying, I start problem solving. So she's, a new mom, she's tired, and she just needs the music. She doesn't need all this fancy bells and whistles, and she probably doesn't have the money to pay for all that crap.
Right.
So why am I going to try to sell her a $400 stereo when a $19.99 one will do the job?
Right.
But I'll give her 2 options, so that's step 3. Mm-hmm. So I'll go in and I'll say, okay, so basically, I make sure I have everything that she's needing and wanting and whatever. And, let's say that the second thing, part of that, she said, and the baby seems to be real relaxed when she sees something on the wall. Yeah. So I go, okay, well, if you didn't tell me that, here's a stereo or boombox for $19.99. You're going to have to step up to the one that's $39.99 because it flashes up what you're talking about. But it's going to help you in the end. So the extra $20 is worth it. Versus trying to sell something that they don't need or benefits and features that they don't care about.
Yeah.
So when you sell solutions to people's problems.
Right.
But you have to ask them what the problem is. You should start thinking and speculating. What do you think? But sometimes you're right, sometimes you're not right. When you ask them, they'll tell you. Yeah.
Well, hey, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yes, sir.
And now for the bonus question. The first question is kind of like 10 questions, so this will be fun. So for each thing that you did in your life, when you became a teacher, then after school, then life insurance, and owning businesses, did you choose it or did it choose you?
Well, I mean, I have a God lens. Mm-hmm. And every time I think I did something, I realize God had his hand in it all the way through. So I would say in the end that not only did it, or in this case, he choose me, but also when you get off the path that you're supposed to be on, he'll figure out how to get you back on. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, look for God winks. They're there. Mm-hmm. And when you're younger, you don't see him as much. Right. I see him all the time, every day, man. I'm like, oh, that's funny, God. Right? Oh, that's a good one, Yeah. Like when I want to, get at one of my kids, I'm like, oh, that's funny, Lord. But, you see that as being like, okay, if I can work my way through that, then that's going to help tens of hundreds of thousands of others, because it's the same thing that I need. I say it's the busting through. Right. Because a lot of people get to here. Yeah. A lot of people, I think it's 213 or 212, the boiling point. Mm-hmm. A lot of people get to 211. Yeah. Right? There's a lot of, do you know anybody that ever took fourth place in any Olympics in any sport?
I don't think so.
Right, but how many gold medalists you can list them off?
Oh, yeah.
That's the difference. And so what? Right? Yeah. There's a lot of gold medalists that have become thugs. And there's a lot of fourth place people that have been highly successful in whatever you term or deem as what you want to measure. If it's money, great, all power to you. Mm-hmm. If it's helping people, all power to you. If it's getting stuff in or giving stuff away, whatever yours is, then so be it.
Awesome. So for people that don't know, you are not a very lucky person.
No.
But
which I want to quit saying that, because the mind's so strong. So I almost want to quit saying it, but it is true.
Yes. What would you say the luckiest thing to happen in your whole entire life?
God smacking me when I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't remember. I know I was super, super young, and I didn't come from a background of church. Mm-hmm. So how does this happen?
Right.
But I remember riding my bike and praying, not knowing that you can pray with your eyes open.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was a little kid. And wrecking on my bike. I mean, I still have scars on my bike. And because I wasn't very smart.
Yeah.
So I would do it again. Thinking that somehow there'd be different results.
Yeah.
Definition of insanity. But I would say that, and then I've had 4 or 5 mentors, starting with my mom, that have been real good for me. Yeah. And then my wife, she, I met her when I was 15 and she was 13. Mm-hmm. She's been real good for me. Yeah. She's tough as nails, although you never really know it.
Right.
She's pretty chilled, but she's tough lady. Mm-hmm. And you'd have to be, because I'm not easy. Mm-hmm. We're watching at night. We'll sit and eat dinner always together, and we'll watch, because I don't watch much TV.
Yeah.
I'll watch football, during the season, and then we'll watch Netflix. We're watching Atypical. Uh-huh. She called me that guy.
Nice.
Which, he's an autistic kid, and I'm sure that I have some ADD, ADHD, and some other acronyms there that are not great.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to modern technology, you are a caveman.
Yes.
But what is your biggest pet peeve?
Just speed.
You want it to be faster?
Yeah, like I swear to goodness, and with people I'm less that way, but with stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I press on that little icon thing, jiggle thing,
you want it.
If it's not like up right now, I'm like, me and this computer gonna have a problem.
Right.
And so the other day, luckily I still have my oldest is out of the house, but my youngest isn't. And I'm like, Ryan! He presses a button and it fixes it. And I'm like, yeah, boy, I'm going to have to pay somebody to live with me just to, whatever.
Do that.
Yeah, I just think speed, and that's another reason why I love systems.
Because
it's more predictable. It's speed, it's efficiency, it's volume. It's you can do all that stuff faster, quicker, better, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Last two. First, growing up and even now, maybe it's changed. What was your dream car?
Wow. Well, I can tell you what it was not, Dad. Was a freaking Pinto. Dude, I researched the Pinto. If you get hit in the back, it blows up. This is what he gives me.
Maybe you took a life insurance plan on it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he did. And so it's funny because my now wife, I told you we've been together a long time. So I call her and I tell her, I go, my dad got me a blankety blank Pinto.
Yeah.
And so she tells her mom, well, her mom thinks Porsche.
Oh.
And she goes, oh, those are nice. Da, 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 da. So anyway, and just to add fuel to the fire, all my friends had lowered trucks at the time. And so I took my Pinto with the rack. And so I don't know if any of you have had experience with Bondo, but I took it was like a luggage rack on the top of this Pinto. So it gets worse.
Yeah.
And I bondoed it, but I didn't know you're supposed to sand it down and all that because I wasn't very handy. So I take it into Earl Scheib, which was $99.99 at the time. And I get me a nice midnight blue with, like you go to Pep Boys and it's like tape.
Oh.
So I did the stripes. And then I rush it down to Midas. I pull it up on their thing. They heat my springs, which now means I have a lowered Pinto because all my friends had lowered trucks. And I remember coming off the back of that, whatever they call those deals, balancing my neck still freaking screwed up from it, so on and so forth. But I did shortly turn that into a nice El Camino, where you could hear me from 7 streets away because I had, what everybody thought was 15-inch woofers. I didn't, but I'd researched it, had the 12-inch perfectly boxed, my my mids, my tweets, so on and so forth. But so I could tell you that's what I did not want, and then the El Camino, which was really nice and lowered and candied out and broad, and all that, tarped. But anyway, that was a nice car for me. But I think probably a Lamborghini. Yeah. Was probably like a Countach, I think is what they call them, with the fins and stuff. I like the ornate looking type, weird looking, I
wonder if they even make those anymore.
I don't know, but like space shuttle type stuff.
Yeah,
I like that.
Got it. And for the last question, if you won the Mega Ball, lottery Mega Ball, or whatever, Super Mega, whatever the biggest one is, what would you do with it?
Well, I don't know exactly, but I know that it would be surrounding kids. So I don't know if I'd go back into the old area. Those guys have been saying they're going to build a gym for them for 40 years. I mean, we had a basketball team that was, we've talked about it. But I mean, these guys were freaky athletes. Right. And they love basketball out there. Yeah. They've been saying they're going to do a gym and different things they haven't done. So I know a lot of my money would be spent on that kind of stuff where I would go and do sports type, buildings, recreational facilities, different things of that nature, so that we're not just helping, 20 kids on a track team or sending 30 kids to nationals on our dime or whatever. We would be able to help communities of kids and youth. Yeah, because, for me, whether I've got 10 million in the bank or whether I've got 150 million in the bank, it doesn't really matter to me. I just want to be able to, have enough that I can enjoy myself with my $7 shirts. And my wife's not a spender either, other than the 47 hair products. I haven't figured that one out yet. Yeah. And then enough for my kids. I want to leave a legacy for my kids and my grandkids and my grandkids that I won't know. Right. But I want them to, that's important to me. And then discounting that, it's like I tell everybody, you can't take what do they call it, a hearse to heaven? I can't take anything to heaven. Right. So I want to leave enough for my family, to hopefully carry out philanthropy type missions and different things of that nature. Yeah. But I'm not, would I buy a little nicer house? Yeah. Would I buy a little nicer car? No. I like Toyotas, trucks.
Yeah.
I'm a truck guy. I'm not a Jaguar guy. I'm a truck guy.
Yeah.
So, just stuff like that. But I'm still going to probably buy $7 shirts. I don't know. Maybe I'd buy a $9 shirt. But, yeah, I would just do stuff with helping youth or people in general.
Got it. Well, hey, thank you. I appreciate it a bunch. I think the audience is appreciative too as well, because it's a lot to learn, and as your saying goes, systems matter.
Systems matter, baby. Go do something.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Now we're going to get in a bonus round, okay?
Woof! Okay, I got to limber up for the bonus round.
So, first question, you talked about a mentor of yours.
Yes.
How many mentors would you say that you've had in your lifetime?
Just off the top of my head, I'd say 4 or 5.
Okay, and did you have one mentor, like from 0 to 10? Like, how did that break down?
So the number one mentor in my life was my mom.
Okay.
And obviously she was there from the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
And she'll be there till the end.
Right.
Right. And so that, and then I don't know if I technically classify my 6th grade teacher. Shout out to Mr. Panero. He doesn't know. I need to find him. I've said I was going to do that for years. I get busy, but maybe Mr. Panero, you're listening to it. He wasn't a mentor per se, where there was that, but he was important in my life. He was special. He was a cool dude, and he runs a garbage business, I believe, now in town. Very successful. Okay. But he just, I don't know. There's something about him.
That was your 6th grade teacher.
6th grade teacher. Okay. Yeah, and he was my coach, and
got it.
I just really enjoyed and liked him. And then I believe it was my sophomore year or my junior year, Miss Lloyd. So I can't draw.
Okay.
Like, dude, I can't draw. No. I mean, I can't draw a stick figure.
Right. Okay.
Like, I'm an idiot, right? If you saw whatever I do, I'm sure there'll be a whiteboard one day or whatever. But I scribble. Right? You only have 30 seconds in the huddle.
Right.
Right. I coach a lot of basketball, so you're scribbling. And I was, I was a knucklehead, man. I was a troubled little guy.
Yeah.
And she knew this. And man, I'll get teary-eyed thinking about this story. So she brought me in to be her aide. Her art aide. Yeah, and I can't draw nothing. Like, right, I can't even match.
You're gonna be grading people that you can't even do better than.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, right? Everybody's got.
That looks pretty good. Right.
Yeah, and so she was special, and I'll tell you how special she was. Quick story. I believe it was like my 25th high school reunion.
Okay.
And I just thought she did this for me.
Right.
Right. She just loves, Brett Sanders, right? And so I was talking to one of my old buddies that I hadn't seen for 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, I coached his new wife's brother. Okay. He was on my football team. He was my quarterback. Yeah. And so somehow that came up. Right. And I said, "Oh, Nick, how's he doing? Everything, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's doing great, man. If it wasn't for Miss Lloyd." I went, "What? She didn't do this with me. This is what she did." Right. Because he was in a bad spot. Yeah. And she took him in. And it brings tears to your eyes. Yeah. So you know what I found out that night? No, this is no joke. Talk about God winks. Yeah. She was right up the street doing she was retiring, and they were doing a retirement dinner. I left my reunion. I went right up there. I stopped the whole dinner. Just 80 people looked at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. And I just said, "Hey, I got to say something here." Yeah. And I told them the story. Right. Halfway in tears. It was mainly allergies, I think. But I had a little tears. And she came up and gave me a big old hug. But I think, that's something to emulate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what she did. And,
yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of high school teachers or teachers that aren't great and they don't do their job and they're just there for the paycheck and the summer's off. But then you have those who are the special ladies and special guys that, actually care.
Yeah. So when you see, Mr. Panero, Miss Lloyd, your mom all the way through. Yeah. And then my great business mentor, this guy was a stud. His name was Les Chalais. Mm-hmm. And he's got like 5,000 insurance agents or something now. But he was just system. This is his system, and that's how he ran it. So I would think I think that's 4, I said. Yeah. And there may have been, a couple others that escaped my brain. Yeah. Obviously, Jesus has been a huge mentor to me. Mm-hmm. So maybe those 5, I guess. Okay. But each one of them, they were more of the the walking it versus the yapping.
Yapping it.
Yeah, I those people that like to yippity yap out there and not do anything, shame on you.
Gotcha. So this just brought up, another question.
Yeah.
So this is my question.
A double bonus?
Yes, a double bonus on that one. Would you say that a mentor comes into your life out of, I don't even know, like, you're not looking for a mentor, it just kind of happens? Like, I don't know how I would word that.
I call them God winks. I don't believe anything just happens.
Okay.
But I will say that I believe the mentee chooses the mentor in the end.
Okay.
Right? But I don't believe in happen chance. So my wife, so me and my boy, we were, Rico Suave and who was the long hair guy? Fabio.
Oh.
You guys don't know that. Anyway, and so we had a mall in town. We had these two huge fish tanks that were probably 40 yards by 30 yards in the middle of the mall. And so you could sit up against them. And so me and my boy, I was telling you about Todd, we would check out all the girls in the summer going by, right?
Yeah.
So these 3 girls come up, 2 of which we knew.
Okay.
And then this other little girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of talking to the 2 girls, but I'm too cool for school, and I don't even look over. And I don't take one look at this gal.
Yeah.
Or at least she didn't think I did.
Yeah.
And so out of all the things you can say when you're 15 years old, as they walk off, I don't know her name. I don't know. She could be from Ireland. I have no idea who this person is. I looked at my boy. I said, I'm going to marry her.
Wow.
And 40-something years later, either dated or married. I was 15. She was 13. We've been dating or married.
Ever since.
So anybody that tells me that there's stuff that's happened chance, I don't think that's the case. And I also think that God or whatever your modus operandi will give you a bunch of those, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that he put Mr. Panero in my life, and for whatever reason I wasn't willing to accept it.
Yeah.
Then he would have put, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believe that that's going to continue to happen until you finally latch on and go, oh, you're my mentor, or you're going to be important in my life, or whatever the case may be.
Gotcha. So I know that you said that you stayed up, over COVID a lot and watched a lot of Netflix and different things like that.
Yeah.
What was your favorite series?
I don't want to say because I would need a list of like 10 or 15 of them.
Okay.
But I like the adventure type ones. So
okay.
Uda or whatever. Did you
Last Kingdom.
Last Kingdom. I really like that one. Marco Polo I like.
Okay.
So I like different ones like that. But then I'm also a softie. Please don't tell anybody. I just got done with Virgin River.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a really cool thing. Schitt's Creek. Oh my goodness. And I'm not into that usually. Like I'm just like, oh, that's fluff and whatever. Like I'm gonna go to work, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, special things come together.
Right.
Like the NFL. I think it's the morning show.
Yeah.
With Kyle, certain things come together.
Right.
Hopefully we'll come together,
yeah.
right? I mean, there's just certain things that kind of are the yin and the yang and that flow together.
Yeah.
But I would say that I like those types of adventure, old school, whatever's. And if it has some historical reference, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And then I like the little softy, stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then I know that you said that for your personal social time, it's movies. That's a big movie guy.
Movie, baby.
So, I know this is a tough question, and, but what is your top 3 movies?
Rocky 1, Rocky 2, and Rocky 3.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think so, but the Rocky series, that really resonated with me. I was tinier than everybody else. I wanted to be somebody.
Yeah.
I was an underdog. That's how I, viewed my life.
Yeah.
And for that to come out at that time,
yeah.
It was like, man, talk about some allergies, right?
Right.
And I'm sure that Mr. Stallone knows how many people that he's helped. I told my wife that I would like to play that at our wedding. Like the theme song, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, no. I think it's reasonable,
reasonable,
right?
yeah.
But I think that was definitely one. And then the other ones, there's been so many that really resonated with me. One that I think we should all watch. I'm not saying it's my favorite movie, but was Crash.
Okay. Yeah.
And because it lets everybody know how tied together we are. If you watch that, it was like 5 or 6, 7 different, silos of things that were going on. Somehow they're all connected. Yeah, the whole, I don't like 6s, so I'll say 7 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, right? I try to live my life saying, as much as I can, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And that's a saying that my mom and I, speaking of her, that we both have, is we get the yes. Very rarely do we say no.
No, yeah.
So don't ask me for anything,
yeah.
right? But you know what I'm saying? Like we try to get the yes across the board, and we felt like, especially with dealing with so many youth, we have to.
Right.
Either I teach that little guy how to add 1 + 1, or I don't. There's no grade to that. I either teach him and he gets it, or that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I would not be okay with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, we talked a little bit about you being a college athlete and, wouldn't always be the best athlete. So you've spent a lot of time around athletes and probably some freaky people.
Freaky.
So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. One, who was probably one of the freakiest people that you competed against or saw compete?
I didn't see this guy compete, but he came to practice with us when we were doing track. His name was Arnold.
Okay.
And he would have probably still hold the world record if he would have been about 6'5". I think he was like 5'10" or 5'11".
Oh.
And his brother was like 6'5". And I think don't quote me on this, but he was like a state, shot putter, whatever.
Okay.
Well, this guy came out and threw the shot, and so I don't know if you've ever been to a track and field event before.
Yeah.
You as an athlete, you're
yeah.
like 10 billion of them. But at the back of the shot put, they would have the railroad ties that are, at least, 2 feet by 2 feet and stretch the whole thing.
Yeah.
He threw over.
I think it was like 75 feet away. I mean,
over the railroad ties. So I was like, that's impressive. But, I was too cool for school then at 22 years of age. So then I watch him go into the weight room, and he's squatting. I forget the number, but it was a big number. And his nose just goes and blood everywhere. And he keeps squatting reps. And I'm like, that is freaky. And then later on, I found out that his brother was every bit as freaky as him, but instead of being 5'10" or 5'11", he's like 6'5" or 6'6". And I just think to myself, like, man, we had another guy, he was a professional athlete. I think he played for the Dolphins, big old dude. But we used to laugh at it. He couldn't dunk a basketball. And I could dunk a basketball even at 5'10". I had stupid hops.
Yeah.
If I could grip it. So, like, anything that I could grip, like a volleyball or whatever, I could dunk it. I couldn't, my hands were too small for a basketball. And I couldn't get it, the alley-oop up there to get it ever.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't spend a lot of time with it, because I think I would have got it, right? But anyway, this guy was like 6'5", and he was strong. I mean, he's a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So he's strong, and he could not dunk a basketball. And then one of my ex-agents, who's super great guy, super successful, played for the Chiefs. He didn't look like much, right? And so I grabbed him one day. Shirts were always down to like here.
Oh, yeah.
I grabbed him. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was just built like a brick crap house, man. So, yeah, I've been fortunate. I used to go to my son's track meets, and one time I'm sandwiched in between an NFL punter and the world champion at 75 years old in pole vault. He's a world champ.
Wow.
Right? And so I'm like, I can eat more Twinkies than you, right? I mean, how do you compete with that, right?
Yeah,
so I'm like, I can eat more Twinkies than you guys can.
Yeah.
Right? We all laugh.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I've been around a lot of amazing people. Been very, very fortunate to be around a lot of amazing people on CNN, professional athletes, people the best at what they do, and feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to do that, especially coming from a fairly small town.
Yeah. So my second question was, but I think I already know the answer, but I'll ask it anyways. What was the most impressive feat that you saw in the weight room? I guess it was the guy that squatted through a bloody nose. Yeah, I mean, by far. But I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, I was so little. I was trying to find every advantage of system, so to speak. And so we went to this old school called what do they call those facilities? Anyway, tip of my tongue. Yeah, it's on the both. Anyway, where y'all left the weights, people, and it was old school, like with the chalk flying. Now you can't take the chalk in, or if you start doing like a clean or something, snatch a power lift. Oh, you can't do it in this section. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But anyway, this was old school, right? And so I heard that these guys were the best. I want to learn from the best, right? Yeah. And
this guy, holy crap. I don't remember, it was like 5 something or whatever it was, and he's doing reps on it, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I can't even barely do the bar yet, right? And this guy's got, I don't know, he had so many plates on both sides that it was, it was bending the bar. And he was, pounding him out. Later on, I played golf with this guy, and I told him, hey, I was an admirer of yours, da-da-da. And he was Gold Gloves champ, too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this guy, yeah. If he hit you, I think if he would have tried to go professional, he would have really knocked out a few people. But anyway, shout out to all you UFC folks that he said he had to know how good these guys were. And he was older.
Yeah.
He was probably 50-ish at the time. But he's trained MMA and went and got into it with the guy on purpose. Like a He said, when those guys grab you, you're done. And
for someone to be that strong to say that'll tell you.
Yeah, and Golden Gloves champ. I mean, this guy could fight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like some average guy on the street.
Yeah.
And I think about that, and I'm like, there's some freaky dudes out there, man, that we just we can't comprehend.
Yeah. So I read this, but I want you to tell the story. So I believe it was when you were in high school at South High, and it was a shuttle race or something that happened between you and somebody.
Yeah.
So can you tell that story to the audience? Because I was one of the coolest stories I've ever read.
Yeah. So we had 0 period, and where you're doing sit-ups, pull-ups, all this stuff, and we were gonna have a competition at the end of the year. I believe it was a national competition. I wound up not being able to go for some reason. I don't remember the whole story. So one of those things was the agility, where you start, like in a push-up position, and then you go around 4 hurdles, like, running track and field hurdles, and then you come back around. So 0 period, nobody's there. Right. Well, we were doing this at the end, and me and this ex-professional athlete got into it, and he played for the Chiefs, and the guy that held the record. I used to admire this guy. I used to watch him play. He was freaky. Really? Right? Yeah. And so I wasn't big, but I had some athleticism. Like I was quick. Yeah. Very quick. Right. And so anyway, I don't remember the exact numbers in the end, but it was like, he goes 14-9. I go 14-7. He goes 14-5. Well, all of a sudden, we're getting down, and we're trying to get into the 13s, and all of a sudden, there's about 200 people out there. The people had come, and everybody...
Oh, for school now.
Yeah.
Period, right.
0 period became almost first period. Yeah. And so we went at it, and blah, 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 and in the end, I think I ran 13-9. And Tony, you got nothing on me, he couldn't get there. And so, hilariously speaking, so the 8th grade... group that I used to teach used to feed South High later. Okay. And so once a year we would take the 8th graders there, and they had said they used to call me Z. Yeah. That's what they call me, or Coach Z. And we're walking through the PE room, and they go, Z. I'm like, what? Is that you? I looked up on the board, that record was still there. 2 records. Yeah. Sit-up record and that other record. But it was a heck of a time. You don't realize exactly what you're going through at the time. I will say this: there was a gal that did 150 bench push-ups in a row. She was a gymnast. She's real little. She's boom, boom, boom. We were like 143. Yeah, we're like, geez, this gal's unbelievable. But anyway, that's the story, and I have a lot of stories that I could tell, both that I witnessed or that I was a part of or whatever, that are just. Yeah, it's just funny or freaky.
And before we move on to the question, I believe I also saw that your son went to school in junior high, and one of his teachers brought him in and was like, hey, your dad still holds the record to this day. Is that true?
I believe that's true. Yeah. It was a junior high record, and I don't remember what it was, but I remember back in the day we used to do, if you were whatever, you got a certain amount of points in these 5, or you get a gold stripe or whatever. Oh, yeah. And I remember I kept those shorts, the gold stripe, for a while, and different things of that nature. But yeah, I did hear that story.
That's cool. So
I wasn't the greatest,
but
I was okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when it comes to working, what has been your favorite job? So before you became a business owner, before you became a teacher, an after-school leader, so I'd say from the time you were, 5 to 20.
Coaching.
coaching.
Yeah, I went back to my old, on a fluke, I went back to my old elementary, and there was a girls team. You know, we want to coach the boys and all that.
Yeah.
And there was a girls team, and they told me they hadn't won a game in anything. Right? They hadn't won a game in baseball, which was softball, but, you know, and then volleyball or basketball in 5 years. Not one game. And I go, well, that's going to change.
Yeah.
You hire me, that's going to change. So he took a chance on me, which, you know, I was a knucklehead, but I was 18 years old. And so we went 7-3 in volleyball. And because I treated them like athletes. I didn't treat them like girls. And I said, winning is that's not an option. That's an absolute.
Yeah.
Right. And then in basketball, we went undefeated. Yeah. Because I knew a lot about basketball, and so we did. I don't know if you know anything about elementary girls basketball, but if you score like 18 points, you win.
No.
And so they had a gal that when we played in the championship game, that was good for 30 points a game. One gal. And she played up, I think, as a third grader, fourth grader, fifth grader, as a sixth grader. And here's a great story for everybody. Oh, wow. So we did what we call a box and one or triangle and one on this gal. And the little fifth grader that I had, she could not play basketball at all, but she had two things going for her. Yeah. She was a soccer player, and so that helped her both physically and she could run forever, right? Yeah. And she would do whatever I told her to do. Okay. So those two things she had going for her. So I used to, you know, in practice leading up to this, I played this girl that could score 30, and I made this girl defend me. Okay. And so I would rough her up. I mean, I didn't know like I should be. Little sorry, you know, no lawsuits, but you know, I would rough her up because I wanted to, you know, teach her to be strong and tough and all of that. And so on the first huddle, on the first time, I won't even be able to say it. So on the first time out, I'm telling this is what we got to do. We got to do this. We were up by 2 at the time. I go, where's Jamie at? Well, I had told her, I said, you go wherever she goes. If she goes to the bathroom, you go with her, right? Like this. So the girl's sitting down on the other bench, and she's guarding her. Yeah, she's in her face like this. And I go, Jamie, what are you doing? She goes, I'm fitness coach. And so she walked back over. I was like, this girl's crazy, but that's what you need, right? I mean, that's awesome. And I didn't keep tracks on Jamie, but hopefully she's doing good, and she definitely had the mentality. Yeah. You know, but what a great competitor, what a great kid. I mean,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Is that right? I mean,
she full on. Yeah, she's like in her crouch and she's defending, and I'm like, well, at least she listens.
All right. So last bonus question.
Yeah.
If you were to write a book, an autobiography of yourself, what would the title be?
I don't know. I'm not. My brain gets going. I could go 50 different directions with that. Probably my forethought was take action. Right? Yeah. You know, if I were to put a subtitle to that, you know, systems matter. Right. You know, something like that. Yeah. You know, but I would have to really sit on that for a while. I try to be very thoughtful on stuff like that. I try to be thoughtful on everything. Right. But I would have to be fair as an answer coming from me. I think about it, but those would be the two things that kind of instantly, you know, came to mind.
Right. Well,
and love Jesus too. Yeah. Right.
You're making my job easy. Another perfect segue for me. Thank you. So as we're closing up on this, you know, what are your final words? Even though, you know, I think you just said it. Take action.
Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, I think that's the thing. And you know, the bottom line is that we all have systems. You may call them habits. You may call them processes. You may call them procedures. You may call them custom. I mean, you call them whatever you want. Right. But the bottom line is we all have systems, a way of being, a way of doing, a way of whatever. Yeah. So I always just say, you know, ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Right? Does that tradition make sense, or is it something that needs to, you know, you need to move on from? Right. And I use an analogy of, you know, there's a river and then a pond, call it pond 1, and then some more of the river, pond 2, some more of the river, pond 3. Yeah. And I think a lot of times if you're fishing, you know, that you're still in pond 1 and the fish have went upstream. They went to pond 2. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes, you know, you go to pond 2 and you're just putting in fish everywhere, right? Yeah. You're getting your full catch, and then you stay there because that's the tradition you're used to when you should be moving upstream.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that with COVID in particular, we've all been forced to do things differently.
Yeah.
I'm saying no. Let's choose to do things differently. Let's not get forced. Let's choose to do that.
Yeah.
But you have to start asking yourself questions. Be inquisitive. Why do you shower the way that you shower? Why do you, I mean, even fun stuff like that, and that doesn't matter.
Right.
Does it matter if you do your underarms first, or your hair, or your butt? Or,
Right.
It probably really doesn't matter.
Right.
But maybe it does. So as long as you know that you've examined that,
Yeah.
live that self-examined, self-reflective life. That's what I chose early on. And, the road that's less traveled and all that. And it's not always easy.
No.
But if it was easy, everybody would do it, and that wouldn't make you.
Right.
So, I just say put those couple things together, and that would be my final thought.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. I mean, it's a bunch of knowledge over here. You can see that he's done it all, from being an athlete to a coach to a teacher to an after-school professional to helping thousands upon thousands of adults, helping millions of kids, and he's well on his way to helping hundreds of millions of kids and 40 million adults. So stick around and see what he has to say. He's got a bunch to say. So we appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you next time.
And we can help you, too.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
If you need to contact Brett or Coach, please do so on his social media accounts, email, and or text. You can find that information in the description below. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Thanks, and we hope you enjoyed.
You're not going backwards today?
No, we're good. Huh?
You're not going backwards today?
Certain has.